Rich Dad Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki is the story of the author's upbringing with two fathers, his biological father, his poor dad, and his best friend's father, his rich dad. In the book, the author explains how both fathers shaped their thoughts about money and investments. The main premise of the book centers around the idea that the rich make their money work for them, instead of working for it, as the poor and middle class do. Key ideas from the book. 1. The rich make their money work for them to create more money while they sleep. 2. The rich focus on increasing their assets. An asset is something that generates cash flow regardless of whether you work or not. 3. Financial education, the ability to generate and maintain wealth, is much more important than money. Complete summary of the book. Introduction. The Two Fathers. Author Robert Kiyosaki begins the book by explaining that he had two fathers, one rich and one poor. The poor father, his biological father, was a well-educated person with a well-paying job, but always had money problems. Whereas the rich father, his best friend Mike's father, never finished high school, but generated a lot of wealth. He learned a lot from both fathers, but his rich father taught him to have an abundance mindset and to achieve a life of wealth. Financial education. Over the years, Kiyosaki has realized that the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the middle class lives their whole lives drowning in debt. And this happens because the use of money is not a matter that is appropriately taught in schools. It is learned at home, with family. The problem is that the middle class and the poor lack financial education. Financial education is the knowledge about the correct use of money to generate and multiply it. The lack of financial education is the reason why there are many people with a lot of academic education, such as lawyers, doctors, teachers, but despite this, they have money problems their whole life. Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. Kiyosaki focuses this chapter on explaining the differences between the rich and the poor. Poor and middle-class people are driven by fear of lack of money. And that's why they seek security in jobs. They believe that by having a job, they will receive a secure income every month. And they settle for having a job in exchange for that illusion of security. However, that illusion of security only makes them exchange their time for money, enriching someone else, the business owner. The fear of lack of money of the middle class and poor is the origin of the advice, study so you can get a good job. On the other hand, the rich buy or invent assets that will generate money for them. Instead of focusing their time on working for someone else, the rich focus their time on the search for things that will help them generate recurrent passive income. The fact that the rich don't work for money doesn't mean they never work hard. The rich do work hard, but they focus on the search for assets that increase their income in exchange for little or no of their time. Lesson 2. The importance of having a good financial education. According to Kiyosaki, most people focus on money, instead of focusing on their greatest wealth, their education. And he says that if you want to be rich, you must have financial intelligence. The author states that if people focus on money, then they will suffer a lot. Because money is not the answer to financial problems. The most important thing is financial education. Financial intelligence solves problems and produces money. Money without financial intelligence is money that will soon disappear. The difference between an asset and a liability. People believe that having more money will solve their financial problems. But having more money often worsens people's problems. Having more money simply accentuates the behaviors you have with money. For example, if people get into debt when they have low income, they will also get into debt when they have more abundant income. Therefore, they will continue to have debt problems. The rich focus on increasing their assets. The poor and middle class focus on increasing their liabilities. Having your own home is not an asset. The middle class believes that their home is an asset, but it is not, because it does not generate any type of income. On the contrary, if you have a mortgage on it, it is a liability that generates expenses. Sometimes, the money you spend on buying a home is money that could have been invested in assets or financial education that could have increased your income. The rat race. When you are an employee who owns their own home with a mortgage, you become a person who has many bosses. That is, you work for the company that employs you, you work for the government, by paying taxes, and you work for the bank, by paying the mortgage interests. Furthermore, as responsibilities grow, for example, having children, and you earn more money, many people feel the need to buy a bigger home and get into more debt. This is what Robert Kiyosaki defines as the rat race. People fall into that vicious cycle of having to work for others, to continue paying their debts and to cover their basic needs. Lesson 3. Don't neglect your own financial affairs. Financial problems stem from the fact that people work their whole lives for someone else. Our current education system focuses on preparing young people to have good jobs by developing their academic skills. To achieve financial freedom, a person needs to focus on increasing the assets in their assets column. Don't think you need a pay raise, instead think you need more assets. Keep your expenses low, reduce your liabilities, and diligently increase your assets base. Types of assets. These are the types of assets that Robert Kiyosaki suggests developing or buying. Businesses that don't require your presence to function. Stocks. Bonds. Real estate that generates income. Loans you make to others and that generate profit from interest. Royalties from your intellectual properties. Anything that generates value, produces income, or appreciates, and has a market ready to buy it. Lesson 4. The history of taxes and the power of corporations. The reality is that a wealthy person does not pay taxes, it is the middle class that pays for the needs of the poor. Historically, the government wanted to tax the rich to use that money to help the lower social classes. However, in their greed for money, they began to tax the middle class and poor as well. But the rich found a way to evade the rules. And that's how they created corporations as a vehicle to limit the risk of their projects. So that if one of their projects fails, their corporation is responsible, not the wealthy person. Then, corporations serve as a barrier that protects a wealthy person's wealth. Skills of a person with a high financial coefficient. The 4 skills necessary to have a high financial coefficient are: accounting, the ability to read and understand financial statements; investments, the science of making money; marketing, understanding market demand; laws, understanding tax advantages to take advantage of them. Lesson 5. The rich invent money. Outside of the academic world, much more than good grades is needed for success. The author believes that in the real world, smart people are not the ones who prosper the most, but those who have courage and audacity. Your financial genius requires knowledge, but also courage. If fear is too strong, the inner genius is suppressed. 300 years ago, land was wealth. That is, the person who had land was the wealthiest. Then, wealth was found in factories and production. Today, wealth is in information. That is, the person who has the most timely information owns the wealth. The main and most powerful asset we have is our mind. If we train it well, it can create enormous wealth instantly. While an untrained mind can also create extreme poverty. To generate wealth, you must invest in the development of your financial intelligence. The more you have developed your financial intelligence, the more opportunities you will be able to detect. There are 2 types of investors. Those who buy packaged investments such as mutual funds, stocks, or bonds. Investors who create the investments. This type of investor has advanced knowledge and can see opportunities that others cannot. These investors have 3 key characteristics. They can see opportunities that others cannot. They know how to raise money to invest. They know how to organize intelligent people towards a goal that generates wealth. Lesson 6. You must work to learn, do not work for money. Many people in this world have a lot of talent and professional education. However, because they do not know how to sell, they have problems earning money. A popular advice is that it is good to specialize in a profession to have a better salary and thus be able to get a promotion. But that reduces your chances of success because if no one needs your specialized knowledge, then you will have problems getting a job and generating income. The author states that he entered Xerox because, at the time, they had the best sales training. And he also entered the army to learn about leadership in difficult situations. Advice offered by Kiyosaki in the book is that it is worth entering multilevel companies, also known as network marketing companies, to learn how to sell. This type of companies have good sales trainings. Overcoming obstacles. The 5 main reasons why people with good financial education do not increase their assets are: fear. Fear of losing money is quite common. The important thing is that the rich face their fears, while the poor abstain due to their fears. Your desire to achieve wealth should be greater than your fear of losing. Cynicism. Negative thoughts abound in poor people. They think, "I am not intelligent, he is better than me," among other thoughts that paralyze them. Laziness. Laziness is not only physical, it is also mental. People who keep busy with things that do not generate wealth have mental laziness. They keep busy instead of thinking about what they can do to change their situation. Bad habits. A bad habit of the poor is to spend all their money before allocating a percentage for themselves. It is much better to have the habit of paying yourself first to use that money for the development of your own financial education. Arrogance. Believing that you already know everything can make you lose money. How to start. The author offers some tips for gaining strength and heading towards financial independence. Find bigger reasons than reality. Make a list of things you want in your life and also the things you don't want in your life. This will give you motivation to act. Make a daily decision. Most people decide not to be rich. You must decide every day that you want to be. Choose your friends carefully. The people around you influence your life and your goals. Master a formula and/or learn a new one. If you learn how to buy and sell real estate, you can replicate that formula to create new opportunities in other businesses or industries. Pay yourself first. Rich people save and invest before paying taxes, rent, or buying food. Pay for specialized advice. Rich people have good lawyers, accountants, real estate agents, and stockbrokers. Constantly ask yourself when and how much you will get your return on investment in each of your deals. Use your assets to pay for luxuries. Don't buy luxury items unless they are paid for with cash generated by your assets. Choose your heroes. Follow the example of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet. Teach and maybe receive something. Rich Dad said, "If you want something, you have to give first." Teaching is a great way to give. Additional ideas. The final chapter of the book focuses on providing some additional ideas in order to motivate the reader to act as soon as possible. These are some of the ideas. Find someone who has done what you want to do and ask them for advice. Take classes, read, attend seminars. Think big. Act. Action always beats inaction. Learn from the history of great companies. Find people who want to buy something first, then find someone who wants to sell what the first group of people want to buy. The 3 types of income. There are 3 types of income. Earned income, from a job or a business. Portfolio income, such as stocks and bonds. Passive income, the income you receive even when you don't work.